Hi everyone, my name is Alisa, I'm a photographer and you're on my channel. In this video, I'll tell you how to take photos on your phone with Christmas decoration in your home. Perhaps let's start with the most basic things we will use to the photos. Namely, all instructions will be for photos on a mobile phone camera. All modern smartphones have a good enough camera to take great photos in good light conditions. This point I want to emphasize. You will be able to take good photos if you work properly with light. Also, of course, it's important to have enough light. All photos in this guide we will take with natural light from the window. If your phone has several cameras, then take as a rule wide shots. These are photos that we make from afar. For example, where a person in full height. These photos we do on a wide-angle camera, especially indoors. Portraits are taken with a portrait camera. This is important in order not to distort the proportions of the face of the person who is in the photo. Now let's talk about tripods and what you can replace them with. If you often shoot yourself at home or plan to do it, I highly recommend to buy such a small tripod. It costs in the region of $10 and at the same time it's very functional. Pay attention to what kind of holder comes with it. Here it's important that your phone fits at the size of the holder. You can also buy a tripod more serious, with such a convenient to shoot both at home and on the street. You pay attention to the claims. They should be convenient. And on the height of the tripod. If you are going to shoot yourself, the minimum height will be your height minus 10 centimeters to be able to put the camera to eye level. Well, if you plan to shoot only at home, you can make a small holder from an unnecessary box and adjust the height of shooting with the help of improvised objects, chairs, tables, books. Now let's talk about light in photography. Since we are going to consider shooting indoors and with natural light, we won't have big difficulties. The important factor for us is the angle of light falling. And since we are going to consider shooting a person, it's important how the light falls on the face. And of course, what we are used to is what we find beautiful. In normal life, we're exposed to light from the sun and from lamps. So the light falls from above and at an angle. Light from below seems strange and ugly to us, so try to avoid such light. In our examples, the light from below can fall when the model is lying on the floor, bed or sofa. In these cases, you should be careful and pay attention to where the light is coming from. In our introductory part, it's left to talk about the clothes for the Christmas shoot. You can use very different clothes, evening dresses and jumpers with jeans and pajamas. Pay attention to the background you are shooting against. If in the frame gets only a Christmas tree, a natural wall and the floor, then you can wear anything at all. If there is a bed or cozy sofa in the frame, it's better to choose more homely and natural clothes, jumpers and long socks. Let's get down to the practical part. And let's start with photos with Christmas tree. If you want to take a photo with a Christmas tree in the background, pay attention to the fact that you do not consider the tree, but stand a little to the side. In this photo, the girl is not in full height. Let's see where we have the camera and the light source. The window in this shot is not directly in front of the model, but at a slight angle relative for her face, 35 degrees or less. The camera is at the level of the model's chest. In this pose, you can play with your hands in different ways. It doesn't matter how the legs stand. Try not to point your elbows at the camera. You can also take some things in your hands, a mug or Christmas present. Now consider a full-length photo in the same situation. Pay attention to your posture. The way your legs are positioned is very important here. The leg closest to the camera should always be relaxed, especially if you are wearing a short skirt or tight trousers. You can also bend this leg a little, but be careful that the leg closest to the camera does not completely cover the far leg. In this case, it will feel like the girl has only one leg. The camera for such a photo is placed closer to the ground. The lower will be the camera, the visually longer will be the legs. Here the camera is at knee level. I remind you, always stand a little away from the tree, otherwise it will not be visible. Consider photos of you sitting by the Christmas tree. In a pose like this photo, the positioning of the legs is important. Notice that the top leg is completely on top, all the way around. To do this, you need to twist your upper hip towards. You can lean on one arm, but it's important that it is visible in the frame. The camera is above the model and tilted downwards at a slight angle. The more vertically the camera is positioned, the longer the legs will be, and the lower the camera will need to be positioned. In the same position, you can take a closer shot. You can take a glass or a gift in your hand. This pose also looks beautiful from another angle, when the legs are not in the frame, but in the other direction. Also consider other poses in which you can sit. In this pose, the model sits on her butt, with her legs slightly crossed at the ankles. Here is the same position, but the girl's knees are placed on the floor and they are looking at the camera. Here's the same pose, but from a different angle. And this is how this pose looks in a short dress with shoes. Another option is the lotus pose. You don't need to twist your legs too much. It's enough to cross your legs at the ankles and spread your knees apart. The light here is directly in front of the model. Such a photo looks good with a book or mobile phone, so that the girl does not look at the camera. Moving on, let's consider how to sit nicely at the chair. In this photo, the model is sitting exactly in the center of the chair. The legs is thrown on the leg and the upper leg is pressed as much as possible to the lower leg along the entire leg. This pose looks great with an evening dress. The camera is low, at or below knee level. This will again help us to make the legs look longer. If we want to take a closer photo, then raise the camera to the level of the model's chest or shoulder. Try to keep the camera strictly vertical, so as not to distort the proportions of the face. And a few more variants for leg placement. One leg closer to the girl, one farther away. Both legs don't need to bend or extend to the end. And such a shot is made slightly from the side, otherwise one leg will seem very short. Here we take the previous pose and slightly bend the knees toward the camera. Be careful, this pose will suit you if you have long legs. Another option is to sit on an air chair or chair by the Christmas tree. Here both legs are slightly turned with the knees away from the camera. This pose is suitable for everyone. The legs closest to the camera is spread almost all the way out, and the far leg is bent more. It's very important that one leg does not overlap the other. The camera in this shot is almost between the window and the model and is at the level of the model's hip. The phone is fully vertical. In this pose you can turn away from the camera or look into the frame. Don't forget that if you want to make a closer photo, you need to raise camera higher, to the level of the shoulder. If you have an interesting chest of drawers or a cabinet, you can also make an interesting shot with it. Lean slightly against the dresser, you don't need to sit on it completely. The leg closest of the camera should be bent at the knee and weight should be shifted to the far leg. The hand closest to the camera slightly touches the chest of drawers, not to lean on it. Otherwise, the arm muscle will be bigger from the tension. The far arm should be turned slightly towards the camera so that it can be seen. The camera is placed at the level of the model's hip or waist. Here you can take a profile photo or face the camera. A similar photo can be taken leaning against a table. Here, for an interesting shot, you can take in your hands kitchen attributes or food, for example biscuits. A Christmas tree in the far corner of the room will look great. Here you can also lean slightly against the table. In this example, I left the camera at the same level both when shooting full 8 and when shooting a closer portrait. Notice how the girl's legs don't look as long. If you lower the camera down in a full 8 photo, the legs will look longer, don't forget that. And let's consider one more variant of shooting at the Christmas tree. It's decoration. In this photo we have a simple pose. The girl is on her knees so that she is sideways to the camera and facing the tree. Another option is to shoot from behind the tree and make a closer shot. Here the camera will be at the level of the model's eyes. You can look at the tree or at the camera. Also, for such a photo you can sit on your butt and choose any variant of the arrangement of legs, which we have already considered. Here the lights is almost unimportant, as in this photo the model is looking at the Christmas tree. You can also take a photo from behind the tree, so that the model looks into the photo. In this case, it will be better if the light shines on the model's face. Another variant of decorating the tree is standing. Here pay attention to the legs, so that one leg does not overlap the other. You can also stand behind the tree. Let's continue with pictures on sofas and beds. In this one, we have a sofa located by the window. If you sit on such a sofa as usual, it will turn out that the window will be exactly behind the person and the light will shine in the back. It's very difficult to work for such photos, so we will turn our model so that she sits sideways and looks slightly towards the window. In this pose, the girl sits on the side, and it's very important to turn the leg that was on top so that the knee was above the knee of the longer leg. If we take such a photo where the legs are not completely in the frame, then we don't really care how they are located below the knee. If we are shooting a full leg shot, we need one leg to not completely overlap the other. In both cases, I mounted my camera on the armrest of the sofa. If the wide of the angle of your camera is not enough for this, you can put the camera a little further away on the chair. For such a photo, pay attention to the turn of the head from the light. It's better if it will be above 45 degrees and necessarily not more than 90 degrees. Now let's consider a more common variant, when the sofa stands sideways to the window. It looks very beautiful when one leg hangs down from the sofa and the second leg is bent under the model's butt. But pay attention that for this pose, evening dress is not suitable. It's better to put the free leg on the toy and a little bent knee. We put the camera so that the light on the face fell at an angle of 45 degrees, so you can catch more on the sofa and Christmas decorations. And place the camera parallel to the model, at chest level. The arm that is closer to the sofa can be thrown on the backrest, and you can also take the Christmas attributes. In the same position, you can take a closer photo. For this, we raise the phone higher, at the level of the girl's shoulder, and in no case, don't tilt the camera, so as not to distort the face. Another interesting pose is to kneel on the sofa. In this case, completely turn the model to the light, and the knees don't need to be fully extended. Not sit completely on the butt, the knees are half bent. You can also put your legs as in the previous video with the chair. All these variants with the sofa will also look great. Next, let's consider a more complicated pose. It can be done both on the sofa and on the bed. The model lies on her back with her head hanging slightly off the sofa, legs thrown on top and bent slightly at the knees. The camera here is placed at the level of the model's face. The light should be on the side of the forehead, in extreme cases the cheek, but in no case from the side of the chin. One of my favorite poses with sofa is sitting on the floor and leaning on the sofa. It's important that the model sits on her side, but not her butt, and has her upper leg wrapped around the camera. That is, the knee of his leg should be on top. At the same time, the lower leg should be visible. This photo, as well as the photo of the floor from the previous video, can be taken from the side of the model's legs as well as from the side. And one more variant on the sofa. For this photo, you need to sit on the edge of the sofa, legs turned with knees away from the camera and away from the light. One leg lies on the other and one is bent more than the other. In this pose, the girl in the frame has free hands, and you can take in your hands a mug, lights or Christmas gift. And you can also raise your hands to your hair or put them on both sides of the sofa. Let's move on photos on the bed. In this photo, the model is sitting on her butt, knees bent, and necessarily one leg is bent more than the other. We put the camera on the windowsill. The light is almost direct, and the camera is at the level of the model's face. In the same pose, you can make a photo from the opposite side. It will look especially interesting if you place a Christmas tree in the foreground. By the way, for such a photo you cannot need a large Christmas tree. A small branch is enough to cover part of the photo. But in this case, the girl should not turn towards the camera. There will be very bad light. In the next photo, we're going to lie on the bed. It looks beautiful when a person is lying on his stomach. Here, for the photo, you can read a book or just rest your face on your hand. Here, you can also make a photo from the opposite wall if the model will not look at the camera. I think you already like these poses as much as I do. I won't repeat how the legs are positioned here, and you can lean the arm far away from the camera to stretch out more and appear taller. The camera will rise higher to further make the model's legs appear longer and tightened. And the last shot at the photo on the bed can be done standing up. To do this, we need to decorate the wall behind the bed. Be sure to pay attention to the position of the face. It should be visible at least a little. You can turn completely in profile. Notice in this pose the leg that's closer to the camera is slightly bent. And you can raise the arm that is further away from the camera, so that you can see both arms, but so that nothing covers the model's face. In the last practical block, let's look at what other interesting photos can be made with a Christmas stand-out photo. In this photo, we used a reflection of lights in liquid to achieve a funny effect. The glasses can be tiled a little. The main thing is that they should completely cover the eyes. You need to shoot at a slight angle from the light so that the shadow from the glasses does not fall on your face. The camera is placed at the level of the model's neck to avoid additional distortions. Photos with the bottle and the glass. Here you can have fun with poses such as raising the bottle high above your head. Photo with confetti. Here you will definitely need a conditioned shooting mode in your camera. If your standard camera app doesn't have it, look for a different one for your smartphone. You can also shoot a video and then select your favorite photo from it. We put the camera at the level of the model's neck, so that there is more space above the head. That's where our confetti will be. If you use a clapper and you didn't get a good photo the first time, you can just collect confetti from the clapper and toss them up with your hand. Pay attention that the hand which you throw confetti does not overlap the face. It's better to raise the face up a little. It's important that the eyes don't go to the ceiling, but along the nose or a little higher. Another interesting photo with Christmas lights. For this photo you need to lie on the floor with your head towards the window and feet away from the window. Take the lights in your hands and stretch them upwards. The arms are slightly bent at their elbows. We place the camera above the head, approximately at knee level, and tilt it towards the model. You need to partially cover the face with legs so that camera focuses on the hands. You can also take this photo by placing the camera exactly above the face. Photos on the window sill look very Christmassy. The window can also be decorated with garlands or snowflakes. For such a photo, bend your legs at the knees, one more, then other less. The camera is placed opposite the window. In this version, the model should not look into the photo, and the face of the model should be in profile of the camera. Another variant of this photo is to place the camera on the window sill. Another interesting photo with Christmas cakes. One cake is covering the eye, the other one is pointing at the camera. For this photo we put the model on her knees because we didn't have a higher chair to fix the camera. And consider some more interesting photos. A photo in the kitchen with food. Here Christmas atmosphere is given by the garland on the background. You can take any food. And it's desirable not to look at the camera for such a photo. Another photo with the kitchen. I would advise you to wear more homely clothes. The point of this photo is that the Christmas tree is far away from the background and the light does not fall on it. This makes the lights on the Christmas tree stand out very brightly. Variant with a home dressing gown, and there the Christmas tree is on the contrary very close to the camera to cover part of the photo. Of course, if you have more interesting attributes and decorations, be sure to make a photo with them. And don't forget about photo details. Christmas toys, hot chocolate in your hands, pets. All this will help you to make even more interesting photos. I hope you find it useful and interesting. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments. And see you in the next videos!